Employment opportunities these days tend to be short-term, with employers less willing to offer full-time permanent employment. In the South African context, a combination of the law, which is highly protective of full-time employees' rights, especially when it comes to the termination of work, and the expense of having full-time workers, has seen employers prefer more casual employment arrangements.
If ever you would go to the CCMA or your bargaining council and look at the statistics pertaining to the number of disputes which go there, you will see that the most disputes which are referred is dismissal disputes. So as an employer, in order to avoid being taken to the CCMA or bargaining council, I try by all means not to involve myself in situations where I would need to dismiss an employee.
Shorter-term contractual arrangements mean that employers just pay the worker a certain rate for their labour, without having to worry about covering the benefits that full-time employees enjoy.
What we have nowadays, more than 1 million workers who work in this type of a scenario, and it really has a disadvantage to workers. Workers who might, for example, have been working for a large pension or investment fund for many years, would have hoped to see their career there, and would enjoy the kind of the comfort of the security that my job is safe here. Would also have the kind of benefits that workers need to supplement the wages, like medical, pensions, 13 checks, but also the kind of the labor rights that workers have struggled for to achieve in law, like paid time off, overtime pay, annual leave, maternity leave, and all of these kind of issues.
Monica Peche lost a permanent job during the COVID-19 period and says that since that time she's been bouncing from one short-term contract to another, and says she's lost all confidence of finding a permanent job.
I must say the struggle is real with the working pattern, and it really affected me, because sometimes like you don't have 10 rent, you have nothing, and then you have nothing to give to the kids, because what you're working, it's contract, it's 2 months, it's 1 month, it's 2 months, it's 1 month, and it's very challenging, because financially it's draining, especially if you have kids.
Combined, the Labour Relations Act and the Basic Conditions of Employment Act have sought to protect the rights of fixed contract workers on a lower scale of pay. That is, if their contract exceeds 3 months, they're automatically regarded by the law as permanent full-time workers. But there are many exclusions to this rule.
What I like about the legislation is that it lists examples of reasons which employers can use to justify appointing people for more than 3 months. One of the reasons, for example, is if the employer is using you to replace someone who's temporarily absent. I've got an employee who's on sick leave. I need someone to cover for this person for the next 6 months. That is a justifiable reason. Maybe there is a project that I am working on. That is a justifiable reason. Maybe you are a student. You want to do an internship. Obviously, you don't want to do an internship only for 3 months.
For those lower paid employees who are not sure about what their employment status should be, they can have recourse to the law for this to be formally determined.
We must never forget that there are remedies available in labor law. Maybe you are sitting as an employee, you're trying to establish, but hey man, I wonder if there's a reason why my contract is more than 3 months. You can refer a dispute for that reason to be established, where you refer a dispute to the CCMA or bargaining council, and I don't want to be too legal, but those disputes are called 198B disputes. When the CCMA calls your employer and it calls you and it evaluates the reason why your contract is more than 3 months. And if there's no justifiable reason, obviously, then the CCMA issues a declaratory order where you are declared permanent.
It's felt that workers with higher skills are more easily able to handle fixed-term contracts, as they're generally well paid and would likely be able to extend their contracts or get employment elsewhere, given their skills offering. But the world is changing at a rapid pace, with labour upheaval looking set to continue as technology wipes out former jobs.
I think we would be stupid to believe that things are not going to get worse. The introduction of AI, the introduction of all kinds of things, business is going to adapt. And I think, in essence, even some professions that we believe that are secure are not necessarily going to be secure in the next 8 years or so. So the reality is that one needs to move with the times.
Trade unions are aware that they can't fight the changes that are taking place, but want to do more to help fight for rights of flexible workers.
Often those workers are very vulnerable because now they're on month-to-month contracts. So they're very scared to irritate the employer, and they will fear that if I join the union, and they would want to join the union, but they fear that if I do so, the employer will just simply stop calling me because I'm on a month-to-month contract. I've got no legal standing to assert my rights. So it becomes a huge, huge challenge. It means that unions have got to be much more creative and smart in how they organize, find ways to communicate and contact these workers, because this is a trend which is going to grow. It's not going to stop.
As the world celebrates Labour Day, it's clear that uncontrollable technological forces are set to reconfigure the world of work. The next government will need to be seized with the reality of a changing technological world, prioritising policies to ensure that South Africa's youth is armed with the best possible education to be able to be globally competitive, be resilient and to adapt to these changes. Nompumelelo Siziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.